Introducing the map from turkeyseason.com. Season dates, bag limits, license costs for all 49 states with the wild turkey season, curated into one easy-to-use interactive map. Statistical data shows spring harvest date totals for each state. Historical weather data will allow the out-of-state hunter to easily see weather conditions they will face during their spring hunting season. Zone maps provide information for licensing requirements, draws or quota hunts, and variances in season start dates across individual states. Visit turkeyseason.com and click on the map. I have a funny story / confession, I guess. One of the podcasts that we did, I don't know if you remember this. I texted you and I said, hey man, thanks for your time, but the audio was weird or something like that on the podcast. We're going to have to redo it. If you have time, you were gracious enough to come on and do it again.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that the audio was bad. I just didn't hit record.
Oh, okay.
And I was so afraid to tell you, like, hey man, we talked for like 2 hours and you wasted all of your time. So if you would do that. So it's funny, man. I use you as an example, like, and you've been on this, man, like when you're on a podcast, I don't like we're here with Dave Owens from Pinhoti, but like, it's super like formal, right? Like,
yeah.
People are kind of aggressive, or not aggressive. They're kind of like, some people that don't do interviews much, they get like nervous about stuff like that. And so I will tell that story when I hit record. I'll be like, yeah, do you know Dave from Pinhoti Project? And of course everyone's like, oh, no. I'm like, yeah, man, I did this 2-hour podcast with him, blah, blah, blah. I didn't hit record. I was like, felt like a total dick because I wasted,
I'll tell you what, let me grab some. Do you want me to grab earbuds? Would the audio be better?
Probably? Yeah, absolutely, man.
Let me grab some earbuds real quick. I'm assuming you're gonna edit this part of the stuff out.
Oh yeah. We'll edit. I've gotten, dealing with like crappy Wi-Fi, I've gotten really good at editing out,
blending and splicing and whatever.
Dude, when I first started doing this, and I think I'm going on like year 4. I would like, it would take, if I did an hour podcast, it would take me 5 hours to edit it because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like dip, and I'm still not good at it.
That's like me. That's with anything editing, I guess, because like people think those 20-minute, 30-minute YouTube videos are they just come out of the camera like that. Like, no,
they don't.
That's probably about 18 to 20, 25 hours worth of editing in one of those 20-minute clips. So you consider that's a lot of stuff going on there.
God, that's exhausting, man. It's like you watch videos of like the THP boys, and they're, there's like 5 of them out hunting, having a good time, and then they'll go like to Jake or someone in a McDonald's, and his eyes are like this big and his hair's up in the air, and you tell he hasn't slept for 2 days, and he's just like editing on a computer.
And that's Greg's full-time deal. Like, he don't get to hunt much. You don't ever see Greg on there a whole awful lot. He's behind that machine all the time.
That poor guy. So I wanted to show you something, and I never know when something is going to come up in conversation, but this is like the perfect time to bring this up. So I want to show this to you. It's 93 seconds long. Okay. We're going to watch.
All right.
We're going to watch the entire thing. And as of this morning, only 965 people have watched this. Okay. You and I are going to watch it. Then we're going to talk about it. You have no idea what it is, do you?
Nope. No idea what's going on.
Here we go. All right. You ready? See it?
Yeah.
April 12th, 2008, springtime in Georgia still.
Can you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Poncho put him to bed last night down the field at the end in a big oak. Hopefully he's still there this morning. We're going to try to go get up under and forecast calls for rain to set in about daylight, possibly some heavy rain. I'm going to give it a shot anyways. We don't have anything better to do. And trying to set up the game plan, whether we're going to use Junior there or not, because I've been watching him. He's been despite his one bum leg, he's been moving all over the place. We're not too sure because he can't find a place to settle down without getting run out, because he is a little wounded or whatever, so we're not sure if he's going to be intimidated by another strutter. So we're trying to put a game plan together right now. Think about it. Got Poncho this morning. Poncho this morning was gonna bring archery equipment along with the good old fashioned Georgia scatter gun, just in case things don't go right. Let's hope he comes out in the field. See what we can do with him.
Like that's it. I think we'll stop there. So this is obviously a podcast, and we're gonna put that one online. But that was, what was the date? It was May like 2008. That was your your very first video on Pinhoti Project. Very first one.
That was way before Pinhoti Project. I was just I had it plugged up under my name, just Dave Owens, and we were videoing that stuff. But yeah, that was back in 2008. My buddy Poncho, who was my travel partner for so many years before he started like the normal life, like kids, wife, family, that kind of thing. And I just kept doing what I did. And but he was my travel partner. But he had some family ground, man. That's kind of where he had, his dad is a farmer, and his other granddad was a cattle guy. So they had some ground, some really good ground. And man, we did nothing more than ride the roads and glass these gobblers and roosted about everything we killed. We'd watch them go up, and we would climb up under those things and pop up one of those hub blinds. And you heard me say Junior. That's because the first, way before Pretty Boy, way before Be Mobile, I would kill a turkey down in South Florida, and I'd bring the cape and the feathers and all. I'd bring the whole turkey back and borax it for whatever time, but what is another week and a half before Georgia would open. I'd wrap that thing around a piece of styrofoam, and we would use that thing. Thing would be stinking and rotten. So Junior was the second version of that, which is why we called him Junior. But we would stick that thing out in those cattle pastures his granddad had, or those cotton fields his dad had over on the other side of the county, or the next door. And God, we killed a pile of turkeys like that, just camping out in those tents with that thing. And that's what's funny. Oh yeah, flies, and they just blowflies, larvae just crawling out of the thing. But that's when people ask me about like the different methods and whatever. I'm like, look, I've done it every way possible. Like I can probably have some input, or at least some experiences on just about every way that you could possibly do it, as far as hunting turkeys. But yeah, that probably 2007 to 9, 7 to something like that. We did a lot of that field hunting field turkeys, and that one he was hunting with a bow. We were actually bow hunting turkeys.
Yeah,
so I get that question a lot.
Oh, now the next video was you guys carrying old Limpy out of the valley, I believe is what you
yeah, that was before I even edited anything. All that's raw clips straight out of the camera.
I would say, what were you using? I mean, for people listening to it, if you want to go watch it, you can, but it's like you can't even see Poncho. Yeah. You can't see anything in that. Like you get a glimpse of like a tripod. When you said Junior, I'm like, I don't even know what he's talking about. I can't even see it.
It's that decoy we had. That decoy that I made out of the cape of an old turkey that I'd killed in Florida. So yeah, no, we I don't know, some kind of Sony handy cam or something. And like I said, I didn't edit anything. All that was just straight out of the camera. That's why there would be different videos. It'd be part 1 would be the pre-hunt, part 2 was usually the hunt, and maybe part 3 was the kill, and part 4 we may or may not do a post hunt, so. But yeah, Limpy was a bow kill turkey. We were dragging a bow and arrow around in that tent, and goodness gracious, I'd rather you just hit me across the head with an axe if I had to do all that again.
Oh gosh, sitting in the tent.
Oh my gosh,
a half dead turkey.
Yep. I mean, just sitting there with a bow and arrow, like, I think I'd check out. I don't think that would be.
No, for sure. That sounds too much like deer hunting for me, man. That's where I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And I remember, that was all that, that development of kind of where you came from. That video was way back.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, 2008, if I'm not mistaken, was the first year I'd killed a single season Grand Slam. So he and I traveled that year and killed a single season Grand Slam together. So it was way back.
Just got all over it. Good for you guys. Now, so you were just filming just for you and your buddies, right? Or were you? I mean,
yeah.
I'm 41, and I remember YouTube being around, in, the mid 2000s, I don't remember like a ton of hunting content on there. I don't know, different time in my life. So I started hunting in 2008. That was my first year hunting turkeys. I don't know. So were you just filming that for your buddies, or were you like?
Yeah, we were just
moose and-
filming it. Yeah, I was filming it and putting it together to put out there on YouTube. It was part of the hunting forum days.
Yeah.
Before Facebook and all that stuff, you had hunting forums, and you'd get on there to NWTF forum or Old Gobbler forum and those forums, and that's who I think I've said this a million times, but I didn't have any turkey mentors. I didn't have anybody around me that turkey hunted, so I kind of looked for advice and kind of looked for pats on the back, just honestly from those guys on the hunting forums, because there was nobody else to do it. So I know that I would put those videos together, put them on YouTube, and then link them in over at those hunting forums so that those guys could, watch them and whatever. I remember doing the calling stuff and asking for input, and kind of, I was just trying to find my way and was somewhat lost, and, trying to get good at it, I guess.
Yeah. There's a 20-year-old kid right now that's Googling what the hell is a hunting forum.
Yeah.
It's a member of Jim Z that's like,
Yeah.
GeoCities, like you just opened up a whole world to someone. Yeah, GeoCities was before Reddit. Look it up.
Yeah.
So you talk about like didn't have a mentor. So did you grow up turkey hunting, or were you just?
No, it was deer hunting. Yeah, it was deer hunting, rabbit hunting. Is what we kind of way I was introduced to the woods, and kind of got infatuated with everything wild and wild places. And the turkey thing was just I don't know why the bug bit me, but if I could hit rewind, my life would probably be a lot different.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, so what age did you start turkey hunting? Where you're like, man, I want to try
Shoot,
this.
man. Probably 12, 13 is when I started messing with the calls, or heck, probably earlier than that.
What was your first turkey call? Do you remember?
Whew, man, I used to go to Walmart and buy those HS Strut Triple D mouth calls and the Primos piggybacks and all that kind of stuff. I never knew anything about a custom turkey call. It was whatever Walmart had, and
Right.
but yeah, I was probably 10, 11, 12, 13 is when I know I killed my first turkey when I was 14.
Okay.
But I'd been hunting them for a handful of years before that, what you could as a kid that age. But yeah, I killed one at 14 by myself. Like I said, I didn't have any turkey mentors. I just by the, that whole persistence, determination, I was just out there, kind of wandered into one,
yeah, failure left and right.
Yeah.
That's the best way to learn, right? So I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I've told it a couple of times on some podcasts. So if you're listening, sorry for repeating myself here, but talking about like first turkey call. Mine was very, very similar. It was whatever like the hunting shops had, right? And the first turkey call that I bought, it was a Primos Power Crystal. Remember those?
Mm-hmm.
They're like this poly pot and like a crystal surface, and it came with a couple strikers. And I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know about hunting forums. I didn't know about YouTube and magazines. So I get this pot call, and this is like 2 weeks before the Ohio season opens. And the friend of mine, my best friend, was going to take me. He had turkey hunted one time, and that was in the fall the year before. So he didn't know shit, right? I mean, he didn't know what was going on. So I get this call, Dave, and I'm at home, and I could not get this thing to work. And so I find like I somehow I figured, like, read an article where it's like, hold the striker like a pencil. And I'm holding the striker like, I'm like, this call's broken. It's not working. So I take the call back to the store, and this is like probably the day before, because it was we drove out to some state land here in Ohio. And I go into the store. I'm like, hey man, this turkey call is broken. I need to return it. And so he like takes his call and he looks at it and he's like, you like turkey hunt? I'm like, oh, I love it. Never done it, right? Literally never have hunted a turkey. He's like, you like this call? I'm like, nah, it doesn't work. It's broken. Whatever it was. We had a little conversation, and he like pulls out a piece of sandpaper and he's like, you got to rough the surface of the call up. And he like scrapes this call in front of me, and then just starts like running this call. And I just I grabbed this call and like just silently like back out of the store. I was so embarrassed. But it was, because he knew that I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So that was my, and then so I sat in my truck for the next like 2 hours. I'm just like just running this call.
You had it then.
Oh man, that was it. Turkey hunting really had me the next day. When I heard that first turkey gobble, and it was just like you said, man. The rest was history. The rest was history, man. And turkey hunting has very much changed the course of my life as in a positive, not just this, but just very similar, like what you just said, man. Like, would you do it all over again? And the answer is always yes, but there's an obsession, man, that I think that you're at a level that it's got to be tough, man, during the spring.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It saying that it changed the course of life is an extreme understatement. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it was,
especially in my situation?
Yeah. Do you think it was for the best, like for your life?
Shoot, I don't know, man. I guess that's always up to debate because we don't ever know what option B would have found, where option B would have found me.
Yeah.
It seems like option B would have been, I went to college. I got a biology degree. I was in the pre-med program or pre-dental programs, and so I had these big plans of making a lot of money, and big house, nice cars, and turkey hunting don't really equate to big houses and nice cars, so I don't know where I would be. Probably somewhere different, far different from where I'm at. But like you said, I don't know if I'd change it if I could. But if that bug didn't hit you, me and Chubbs had this conversation all the time, talking about people around us, people we graduated with, and he's like, this is one of my good buddies, and he's a commercial airline pilot now. And he said, you know how much money he makes? You know how he gets to, how he gets to plan his schedule? Like, man, you realize, like, I was like, yeah, I've got some friends that are doctors and friends that are curing cancer, and all these great things. And I was like, yeah, we can look, from the other side of the window, but right now we'd probably say, yeah, I'd probably make some changes. I'd probably like to make some changes, but ask us in March and you won't even be able to get a word in edgewise. We ain't got time to talk to you in March about anything.
Right, man. That's like one of the things that I spend a lot of mental energy trying to understand, and I'm not the only one trying to understand why it's like that and why turkey hunters are like that. And I don't think deer hunters are like that, elk hunters, rabbit, squirrel, quail, no one else. Like, I mean, do people yeah relationships over turkey hunting? I mean, like families, and that's crazy, man. That's just crazy to think of.
Absolutely. You can see it with the volume of literature and the sincerity in literature, in the written words that people do to try to illustrate turkey hunting. I think that's the biggest telltale, because you can see a little bit of that in the waterfowl world. I don't even know, maybe I'm just not exposed to it in the deer hunting world, but I think, like, with literature, turkey hunting is way exceeds any other pursuit when it comes to, like, writing. And I think that's because everybody's tried. There's so people that are passionate about it. They're so they want so badly to be able to portray their emotions or how they're connected to it to somebody else. And it's like it's a constant evolution as to, are we doing it well enough? And like me, like, I'll put out a picture, or I'll do whatever. And I take time to kind of paint with words as well, try to put something together that kind of strikes home, and I know that other turkey hunters can they can feel, so to speak. And everybody's, or not everybody, but often people are like, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book about it? And I'm like, look, I put these little 3-sentence things together about this picture, and it takes so long because you try to illustrate how you feel about the pursuit and how you feel about the journey and turkey hunting in general. And I just feel like it's going to be a constant failure if I try to write a book and try to illustrate that. And that's why, to me, the video camera, you can show emotion. It's a little bit easier for me to look at a video camera, or not easy to look at the video camera, but if the video camera is on you, the emotions out there a lot of times unintentionally or involuntary. And so it just got a little easier for me to, once you got used to the camera kind of being pointed at you and having the kind of overlooking the glass, it got a little bit easier to kind of portray that emotion that when somebody watches it, that is a true turkey hunter, they're like, I get it. Like, I get it, so.
What's great is like you get it, but you don't get it. And that's part of getting it, right? If that makes
Yeah.
any sense, like, I think the only pursuit that I would put up like against the literary prowess of the turkey hunter would be like fly fishing. Like if
Yeah.
you like
And
walking
Upland
through,
has Upland, the
Yeah.
guys, Upland grouse hunters and stuff. They kind of echo a lot of that same sentiments, but yeah, for me, here again, I'm a turkey hunter, so that's the kind of
Yeah.
literature I kind of fall into. That's what I look for.
100%.
Maybe I'm completely wrong, but to me, it's just I've never heard a deer hunter talking about his favorite deer hunting book.
No.
And I feel like that's
never.
pretty standard conversation. If you're around some hardcore turkey hunters, they can talk about books.
And I think and I love running my mouth about deer hunting. I love it. I do. I get my friend group all worked up, man. And I did a podcast interview where some like the person interviewing asked me the question, like the difference between turkey hunting and deer hunting. And my response was simple, very similar. Like it's turkey hunting. There's a saying, like a line that I have, well, it's rooted in reverence, right? It's rooted in reverence for the people that have come before us, for the culture, for the animal. And deer hunting is just, it's rooted in how big the antlers are, right? And that's all that matters for a huge percentage of people that deer hunt.
Mhm.
And dude, I shot my first Osceola this year. It was a mature turkey. His beard was like 8 inches long. Dave, I don't give a shit, man. It was awesome. It was a freaking awesome hunt. That's all that matters. And in the turkey world, that's like a 115, right? That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
an immature 200. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to
Yeah.
me, man. He did the thing. He did the dance. And I don't know, man. I think it's the difference, man. It's just there's a reverence and a respect for the people that do it and for the bird and the places that we do it. That's just different, man. It's different than deer hunting. It's not bad. It's not better or worse. I don't want to criticize too much.
It's just constructed differently, and I think there's more weight put in the journey rather than during the reward. Because honestly, except under extreme circumstances, you don't know what you have until he's in your hand. So that's why the journey is so important. You're not killing him to put him on the wall. You're not killing him. Let's just be honest. You're not killing him to feed your family. It's going to be much cheaper to go down to the grocery store. I mean, you're killing him for the journey. And I think, like with deer, you can somewhat get lost in that. And I'm a deer hunter too. I deer hunt probably more than most, even though it pales in comparison to how I go about my springs.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I chase antlers. I'll once I have a couple for the freezer, because I do like to eat deer. Once I fill the freezer, which may be one deer this year, may not be a deer this year if I've still got some left over from last year, but which we eat a pretty good bit of it. So, once I put one in the freezer and we're good to go, I chase antlers, and it's because I'm chasing that. It's a characteristic that you're going for. And there has never been a turkey that I chased because he had some characteristic, like I could care less what color his feathers are. I care less how big his beard is. I care less how, did I travel to chase the Grand Slam because of a subspecies designation? Sure. But did it have anything to do? Would I have done it differently had the turkeys had the same color feathers? Absolutely not, because I'm there for the journey and for that experience and for that chase.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, man. If I'd seen a scout and saw a turkey with 8 beards on opening day, I get out and I get a turkey that's gobbling, and he comes up and he's got one 10-inch rope. Boom, done. That's it.
Yeah.
He did the dance. That's, someone asked me about turkey hunting and like just why it's so much, just like a part of my life. And I was like, man, I am obsessed with the process of turkey hunting. And it's not like pulling the trigger's fun, right? Like picking up a dead turkey, that's pretty cool, man. Like we all
That's
like
why we
that.
do it.
Yeah, man. And but the process of doing it and, getting your face kicked in is part of that process. I've got, like, as I've gotten older and, like, you screw up a hunt, turkey gets the best of you. Like, I just have like the biggest smile on my face. I'm like, that was freaking awesome. If I'm with someone, I'm like, "Did you guys see that? Did you see how fast he ran? Like, I didn't know. He was 100 yards away when he saw us. Like, it was awesome." And then I'm like, "All right, let's go find him again." Because you get to do it all over again.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to ask you, like, when you were, we're gonna back up here in the chat. 12-year-old, 13-year-old Dave Owens, like, you're just out there, like, what, in Georgia, man, just yanking on those calls, man, just ripping it. Like, what, I mean, do you remember, like, some of those early hunts, like, or early failures?
Absolutely, man. I remember at that point in life, and until much later, and I think most people treated turkeys as some kind of being with magical powers. They knew I was there before I showed up. They always knew that, they had this spirit, and I didn't just treat them like a bird. So, man, I was in there. I was like, man, there is no way I will ever kill one of these things. Like, I've chased them. They're gobbling. They're right there, and I cannot kill one. But I just remember, like I said, I had never touched a turkey until my first one that I ever killed. I had never touched a dead turkey. So yeah, man, I remember we had a family friend that allowed us. They had like 20 or 30 acres, not a ton of property, had turkeys on it. And at that point in life, my mom was getting up and going and dropping me off in their driveway. It's about a 20-minute drive all the way across town. And she's going and dropping me off in their driveway before daylight and coming and picking me up in their driveway at lunch. Because I was 13, 14 years old, and man, I was going in there and I had turkeys. I could hear them gobbling. And I just remember, like, one moment specifically, like, there was an old barbed wire fence and there was a turkey up on the hilltop right on the other side of the barbed wire fence, maybe 60 or 70 yards over the barbed wire fence. And there was a little, like, they had like a little path, like a little 4-wheeler trail or whatnot, around the property, because obviously that was a property line. And I remember crawling down that thing, kind of using the banks where they had kind of pushed that road up. And I remember first laying eyes on him up. He had a few hens with him and he was strutting up there. I remember that head just vibrant. And I remember that being the first turkey that I really got my eyes fixed on in the hardwoods, strutting like that. And I was like, that's like some kind of mythical creature. You know what I mean? Like, he was just shining, red, white, and blue head. He was
Greasy
in the
looking
spring
black
hardwoods. I mean, he was just dancing up there. And I was like, I mean, it was, it was almost more than you could comprehend. Of course, I didn't kill the doggone thing. He beat me again. And, I chased him around. But when I picked up that first little Jake, it was probably a few weeks after that experience. When I picked that Jake up, buddy, you couldn't tell me nothing. Like, I just conquered the biggest, obstacle of life with killing that Jake. And it's sent this ship sailing.
I would say that's where, like, you talk about, like, changing, your life went like just straight into the ditch, man.
Absolutely.
So that first turkey, what'd you do with it? I mean, like,
oh man, I
you have to
showed
check
it to
in.
everybody in the county.
Hell yeah, dude! Driving around in mom's vehicle. Did your mom pick you up at lunch? And she's like, "Oh my god, he got one."
Yeah. She come up and I had him laying beside me in the driveway. So,
had you started smoking cigars yet? Was that the first time?
No, that was way before that. I couldn't believe it. Like, I remember getting in him. I didn't have a clue how to clean him. I just remember. I mean, I remember the first thing was like grabbing his tail, because I had obviously watched every Truth video and every All Stars of Spring video and all the turkey hunting content that I could. I owned all these VHS tapes, and I'd watched everybody pick that. They sit behind the turkey and they hold that fan up. And for me, never touching a turkey, that fan, just from looking at it, it appeared to me like it was going to be holding a piece of plywood up. Like, I figured it to be a heavy, kind of stiff obstacle, like an object. And then when I got behind, I was like, oh, it makes sense. It's feathers, And so I remember getting behind it, and everything was just so foreign at that point in life. Like, I was obsessed with something already.
Never touched.
And I had never touched one.
Yeah.
It was just the communication and everything sucked me in long before I ever started being able to put my hands on one, consistently. And yeah, I don't know. It was like that experience just sent me down into a hole that I'm still trying to climb out of.
You ain't ever getting out of it at this point. My first turkey I ever killed, same thing. I think I hunted 3 seasons before I killed my first one, and it was a Jake, and I pop out of the brush, pop out of the brush, and he's laying on the ground flopping, and I'm standing there. I set my shotgun down, and out loud I'm like, "What do I do now?" I had no idea what to do now. So I let go, like he, just and now, having been through this dance a few times, he kind of flipped over, and I thought he was running off.
Oh.
I go running as fast as I can. I dive through the air and to jump on top of this turkey, and I just hold this thing down. I'm like, now I'm probably just like, oh God, I did it. But I had no idea. I didn't know what to do. Yeah. When you that first bird, did you who helped you gut it? How did you figure that out?
I had a buddy that had killed a couple who had some friends, some older friends, I guess kind of friends of his dad that were turkey hunters, and he had killed a turkey with them before, and he come over there and showed me and kind of walked me through it, or at least he had seen it done before. We kind of felt our way through it, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
but
literally probably.
Yes, literally.
When you did, so I'm assuming you had to take it somewhere to check it in, old school. No apps.
No, Georgia was. Okay. I mean, Georgia's always been like a flipping
call in.
No, nothing, no call in. At that point in time, it was just an honor system. You killed 3 turkeys,
That was it.
And that was it. There was no tag to put on them. There wouldn't, at least now you need to game check it and stuff. But yeah, that honor system back then was as simple as you get 3 turkeys.
That's it.
That's it.
Man, that's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's so. Talk about we've come, I guess, a long way, right? Or
considering then there's still, in my opinion, some ground to make up in that for that process. But yeah, it's better than it was, I guess.
Man, I miss the check stations. We didn't.
Yeah, I like the sticky tags, man. I like having a tag, and the game check stuff is extremely convenient.
Yeah.
And I get it. And I'm not saying we need it, but yeah, in my opinion, I like the sticky tag stuff. And
I like hunting the states where you have to notch the month and the date.
Mm-hmm.
Just feel like a badass when you notch.
You notch the month and the date, and you peel it off, and you wrap it around their leg, and you stick it on itself. Like that's the
stuff right there. And of course, you got to take a picture of the notches, right?
Obviously.
That's always
obviously.
So 14, you kill this bird, and so from there on out, man, you were that was it. Every spring you're getting on them, right?
Oh yeah, ever for then, like I said, just the fire, just somebody threw gas on the fire. I'd already touched one then. I was like, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
I killed a turkey the following spring on opening day, and it was a long beard, my first long bearded turkey, and it was just your standard: hear him gobble, back up, yelp him up, kill him, and that's just the way I still do it right now. And so that fed into that. And then what's funny is I've got this video somewhere. It'd be awesome. As a matter of fact, I've got some the little mini VHS looking things somewhere around here that I need to pull some footage off of, because I know it's on there. But I videoed that same year. I videoed my brother killing his first turkey.
Okay.
So I killed one on opening day, and then he killed that one, and then he went with me a couple weeks later, and I killed another one same way. Just got in there, owled, turkey gobbled. We went set up on it and called him in with mouth yelpers and killed him. And buddy, it was buddy, it is.
So when now your brother's younger than you, right?
Yeah.
And what's it, Matt? Is that his name?
No, Drew.
I was gonna say he's been on a bunch of Pinhotis. So when you rolled in with that Jake, when Mom dropped you off, were you just strutting around looking?
Oh, I'm sure I was. I can't remember I can't remember verbatim what I said or anything, but yeah, I'm sure I was hot stuff. I mean, I think I called everybody, if they turkey hunted, and I called them and we talked about it. So
he He was probably
the most surprised person of anybody was my mom when she done dropped me off in that driveway dozens of times,
Yeah.
over the last 2 springs. And when she showed up and I actually had one, she's like, "Oh my God, like, what am I supposed to do with this?"
Did she hop out of the car real quick, or she just pop the hatch and like, get in,
Yeah,
son?
she just pulls up and expects me to climb into the passenger seat like I always have. And I was holding the turkey up. She's like, now what?"
I can't imagine how fast you were talking when you got in the car.
Yeah, I
That's
can't
already a
either.
story.
I can't either. It was I think she was kicking me out to keep me busy, but nobody expected me to kill one,
Yeah.
I don't think the property owner expected me to kill one either, because they didn't let me hunt their property the next year. And it's like, oh crap, he can actually kill these things. And I don't think you can't come back. I'm going to keep them for ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, you kill one turkey and then lose the permission slip. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Where did you hunt after that? Did you go public, or did you just?
Yeah, we had my dad was in a hunting lease, and like I said, I killed it at 14. So at 15, I had a cousin who was a year older than me, so he had license. So by 15, I essentially had wheels. And so that just opened up the whole
game
the
changer.
game lands, and the state ground was open game. And we had a little 300-acre lease that my dad and my uncle was in, so we were able to go traipse around on that. So yeah, it was we opened the book then with him having license. We were hell on wheels.
Yeah, you were. So when did you learn that? When did you figure out you're like, okay, so I can kill 3 in Georgia, and then I can go to Alabama and kill turkeys over there? Was that like another epiphany? Like,
well, I honestly started traveling to Florida before I did anything.
Okay.
Because instead of kind of doing that, I was helping like my brother or my cousin or buddies from school. Like I was staying in Georgia because I already knew where turkeys were. I really wasn't keen on having to go hunt them. I wasn't as far as like finding them, I guess I should say. I was just ready to interact with them. It was when I started traveling to Florida because college spring break is when I went to college, essentially, because the spring break fell before Georgia's season came in. And I was like, well, that's, I had turkey hunting my spring breaks ever since I'd been in school. So having a spring break and not being able to turkey hunt wasn't an option. So that's when I started looking and found out South Florida was the only place that you could turkey hunt that time of year, because it was that first week of March. And that was a whole other can of worms that I opened up. So
it just so pre-med Dr. Dave Owens was like, wow. So the Osceola turkey is the one that really wrecked your life then, right?
Yeah. That traveling, hunting out of the truck from unfamiliar ground, strange animals, strange noises, strange ground, just water and, sand and all of that was crazy.
Yeah. I hunted the Everglades for the first time this year. And I went the second week of season. It was funny. I talked to the ranger at the camp that I was at, and he's like, man, this place, he's like, there's probably 400 people here last week. And he's like, there are 6 of you here this week.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's good. I mean, like the first night I'm there, I'm like walking in and I see this sign. It was like bears in the air. I'm like, oh crap. I didn't realize there are bears in Florida.
There's a lot of bears in Florida. Yeah.
There are a lot of bears in Florida. Mm-hmm. That was a learning lesson. And the pigs, man, the pigs are everywhere.
Yeah. They are everywhere. But they're definitely more concentrated in some areas than others. There's certain parts of Florida I've never seen a pig. I've seen sign. Yeah. But then there's certain parts that you can't get out of the truck without having to kick them out of your way or whatever.
Start squealing and everything.
Yeah.
So spring break, were you going like were you like half partying and half turkey hunting, or was it just straight?
It's always been straight turkey hunting. Yeah, it's always been straight turkey hunting. Kept me out of a lot of trouble. Yeah. It's always been the spring break. I was usually leaving the Thursday before spring break started to get my traveling done and get down there, and so I could start on that Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was always sleeping across the bench seat of the trucks or whatever to get down there and get it done.
Yeah. What kind of truck do you have?
Shoot, man, what was funny is back in those days when I first started, I had just a red Z71 regular cab, and it was not dependable to say the least. So I remember when I was looking at all this and I was like, I'm going hunting and I don't think my truck's going to make it. It's kind of overheating a little bit. It's kind of not dependable. And I was like, Dad, let me borrow your truck. I need to borrow your truck, I ain't letting you take my truck down to South Florida, you know, and that's
1,000
what he was
miles away.
saying. And I was like, well, I'm going. So you can either let me borrow your truck so I can get down there and back safely, or you may have to come get me off the side of the road halfway there or whatever. So he ended up letting me use his truck for that
What a
trip.
guilt trip, man.
Yeah. Well, it
Good
was
for
just a
you.
situation where
Yeah.
you knew I was going. Like he
Yeah.
knew I was going. And my mom was telling him, like, he's gonna go. Like,
Yeah.
there ain't no stopping him.
Just
He's going.
give him the truck.
So I went in his truck, and then the following year I got a more dependable vehicle. So that the following year is when I got my first truck, put a cap on it, that whole 9 yards, and started sleeping out of the back of the truck.
Yeah.
And here again, a whole nother can of worms. It's like this thing just ballooned into what it is now.
So the Osceola kicked you into was it killing the turkey in Georgia, just sent you off the road. Osceola, you're down in the cliff.
Yeah.
Sleeping in the back of the truck. You done hit the bottom of the creek, truck
Yeah,
flipped
I'm
over,
at
it's
rock
on
bottom
fire.
already, man.
That's done, man.
Yeah.
Game over. I just started sleeping out. I have a Tahoe. I started sleeping out of it a couple years ago, and I put the cot in the back. I got magnetic screens to roll the windows down. I love it, man.
Yeah, it's nice. It's just it's convenient. That's what it is. It's just convenient. Like it's got us. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of that you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable kind of situation in a lot of aspects. But man, the convenience factor of it for a traveling turkey hunter who doesn't need much, man. I have my turkey vest and a little victuals here and there, man. I can make do. You know what I mean? So not an elaborate guy, but it's pretty convenient.
Back in March, when I was going down the Everglades, I was down there for 3 days, and then I was going to jut up to still the southern zone, but some central Florida land a friend of mine has. And so I pull into camp. It's already dark. It's like 9 o'clock. And I had this like idea of like setting up this sweet camp, and like this tent and all this stuff. And I had my truck sleeping stuff. And I'm like halfway to setting up this tent, and some like Florida animal, I don't know what the hell it was, makes a noise. Dude, I dropped that tent, popped the hatch, climbed in, and was like, that was it, man.
We have an identical story, because I told you that first trip I went down there in my dad's truck. It was just a regular old half-ton Dodge, no cap, no nothing, and I had a tent. And I went to these campsites, and I put my tent up, made my little camp, and you're surrounded by water. It's just a big marsh, and I remember being in that. I never even got in the tent. I was just sitting outside the tent, probably cooking a hot dog or something, and I could hear the alligators splashing in that water. And you'd hear the water birds, the ibises, and the curlews and all that stuff out there in that water, and they're making these weird noises, and you'd hear whoosh, and in your mind, it's some alligator eating some defenseless animal. And I'm like, I'm fixing to sleep right here, like on the ground in a tent with nothing between him but a little bit of nylon. I did the same exact thing. I rolled that tent up, and I spent those few days laid across the bench seat of that truck. I was like, man, I don't know about this.
Yeah, that's funny, man. I'm I guess a student of Cuz Strickland, and I love tube calls. And just for locating turkey, what Tom Kelly said, a tube call make you hunt a turkey you have no business hunting. That is a true statement.
Yeah.
I think it was like my second day in the Everglades, and I hadn't heard anything, and I am in like just the worst mood, but I'm in like this beautiful place, man. I'm in something I've never been in, big old Everglades swamp. It was awesome. So I'm gonna try this tube call, man. See if I can just get something to shock goblin. This is probably like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I pull that tube call and I gather as much air as I can. I just hit that thing as hard and as loud as I can.
Yeah.
And there was something maybe like 75 yards from me, and it was just like this scream, just like
screech,
and like it like just like takes off running through the brush. And so I went back. There's this little store there in the Everglades, and the woman's like, did you see anything or anything weird? I'm like, yeah, I heard this thing like screaming at me. She's like, oh, it was probably a panther, a mountain lion, whatever. What do they call them down there? I was like, really?
Yeah, it's
like,
Florida panthers.
Yeah, she's like, she's like, it was probably asleep, and you probably scared it awake, and it took off running. And I just looked at her, and I'm like, I'm out. I'm going back to Ohio. You guys, I didn't. I stuck around, but man, that's a place like you talk about like a can of worms, man. Like I hunted in Ohio for a couple years, and then I had a friend move to Tennessee, and he's like, hey man, my mother-in-law's got turkeys on. I'm like, I'll be there in the spring. And so I
Yeah.
bought my first like out of state license, and that's another can. Like that's when, you start thinking like, okay, how many states can I hunt in 1 year? Like how much time can I just be a terrible husband, be a terrible father, be a terrible boy? Like what can I get away with? You just
Yeah,
like keep
yeah.
pushing the boundaries. So I don't know. Now, so you when did you start filming your hunts? I might already asked this in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, you saw some of that stuff was in 2008, and it was way before that. Way before that. Like I would carry the camera. Like I said, I would, if I killed my turkeys or I was taking a buddy, I always took a camera, and videoed it. We just thought it was the coolest thing. I mean, we were one of them, just like the VHS tapes that we were so, infatuated with. I mean, we were creating that same kind of stuff.
You're like, we're gonna be on
and-
Outdoor Channel. Is that what?
yeah,
Is that what you're shooting
exactly. I
for?
mean, you start putting it on YouTube, and you're like, hey, next stop,
Big
next
time.
stop, I'm gonna be on the Outdoor Channel. Next stop, I'm gonna make my own DVDs, or I'm gonna make my own VHS tapes. So yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. As a matter of fact, in high school, me and my buddies, we had a media class. There was a class like it was really there to show you how to put together and make PowerPoint presentations and all that kind of stuff. But I remember our PowerPoint presentation, our little thing was, I think, the Chronicles or something we called it, and it was about hunting. And we did a little segment on turkey hunting, did a little segment on deer hunting, did a little segment on crow hunting. We used to do crow hunt a lot back in the day. So waterfowling, we did a lot of duck hunting. So I remember our thing was like little video segments of hunting way back then. So that'd been 2002 or 2001.
Yeah. So did when you were younger, like, did you ever run into any of those guys? Like, I mean, now you've run into them, like Cuz or Will Primos, or any of those guys that were making those turkey hunting videos and DVDs. Did you ever meet them like at a show or anything when you were
I
younger?
didn't, man. Like I said, we didn't go to many shows. Like it was, I mean, I didn't even know they existed. All I knew was the personalities that I was able to watch on TV and then read their articles in magazines. That's the only exposure I had.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny how, like, magazines and articles, like how much life, just like society has changed for all of us.
No, for sure. Absolutely. And that was a lot of the conversations that's kind of going down that wormhole of social media and its negativity on hunting and how it's spun. I'm like, hey man, like you can say that, and I agree to a certain aspect, or to a certain extent. But there's aspects of it that are really good, because how is a kid going to learn to hunt? Like I learned from magazine articles and hunting forums,
100%.
and those don't exist anymore. So if a kid wants to be a turkey hunter next week, where's he going to start? That this is the new newspaper. You know what I mean? So
it is. Yeah, it's a very interesting, like, like just time that we find ourselves in. And like turkey hunters, man, like we're so protective of the animal and of the pursuit, because it's threatened right now, right? Like people have lost opportunities just because of population declines. And so we're all, we're really protective. And so like and I'll make fun of deer hunters here. Like, it's funny, like when you see dumb shit happening on social media, like I feel like a lot of that is like people that deer hunt and they don't understand the reverence, right? Turkey hunting is rooted in reverence. They don't understand that. So when they dip their toe in something that they don't know, we're like, let's go. Like, get the pitchforks.
Exactly. It couldn't have put it better. Yeah. Because a lot of those, because they need something to do during the spring, they have their content during the fall. They need something to do during the spring. And they look at what gets the clicks and what causes the controversy and what gets the eyes, and it's doing something edgy like that. And I mean, I'm proud of being part of that turkey hunting culture who's ready to push back against that kind of stuff, because that's not us, and I don't want it to illustrate us. And which is, I'm one of those social media guys. Like that's kind of where this thing originated. So I don't want to be the pot calling the kettle black, but at least I feel like I have conducted myself a little differently. And I feel like I was a brand that originated to push back against that kind of stuff and kind of bring the traditional stuff. And I think that's why, the turkey hunting side of things, there was a waterfowling brand a couple of years ago, started, should we include turkey content, this and that? And they sent me a direct message on Instagram, And before I got back to them, it took me a couple of days to get back to them. By the time I got back to them, they responded with, I think we just made the decision that you guys are too volatile, I think is the word he used. I think we're just going to steer clear of the turkey hunting conversations. And I was like, well, you're just talking to passionate people who doesn't deal with any nonsense.
That's
if
what
you're
I
a
say.
turkey hunter and you appreciate the bird, the reverence, like you mentioned, you're among friends, but don't do something that's disrespectful, because we will fight you. And that's what, I think that's why, like we talked about earlier, that's why there's more literature. That's why people hold this pursuit and the journey that it takes to put one in your hands in such high regard, that we don't like seeing it done incorrectly. We don't like seeing shortcuts. We don't like, and here again, that's a whole other can of worms about what is a shortcut and what's legal and what's not, what's legal versus what ethical. I mean, that's a deep, dark hole we probably don't want to jump down in. But that being said,
it's just gonna get me angry if we do that.
Yeah. And I just, the way I conducted myself and the way I hunted turkeys. And like I said, like the video we started earlier, I've done it every way. That point in life, we were popping up hub blinds and shooting them with bows and watching turkeys and roosting them and going and climbing up under them. Every day. Like if we turkey hunted, we already had a turkey on a limb. Like there was no climbing up on a ridgetop, using your ears, learning the land. Topography maps were just a foreign thing to me. Like, so I've done it that whole way, and this is the way I found it most fulfilling. And so I was like, man, if that isn't shown, if the there was a lot of people doing it, obviously, but it's hard to put a camera in those situations. First off, because frankly, it probably don't belong, but if you don't show it, then how is the younger generation or somebody who wants to know how to turkey hunt not going to do the things that I feel like was degrading and disrespectful, because that's all they're going to see.
Yeah, because the people that are out there doing it, and I will fully acknowledge my bias at any point, right? And I think that's where a lot of us go wrong as turkey hunters, where we have to say, okay, this is just me, us. Like, I don't like this, and I can't give you a reason why. It's just you're being an asshole, and that's fine. I don't like it, and I don't, I still like, and like the archery hunting with like those big guillotines where people are lopping the heads off. Dude, that is a super ethical death. I mean, that turkey is dead before they hit the ground. What I don't like about it is the zooming in on it, and the head's flipping, and there's blood
doing it at 120 frames per second and slowing it down, then showing the turkey running around without a head and laughing about
people
it,
going
and high-fiving about it, and
going like
doing
this
some kind of clown dance. Like, I don't get that part. Like, I'm with you. It's ethical. We're blowing their heads off with shotguns. But that being said,
I hate it.
Hey, like when I first got editing software, guess what I did? The first thing I did when I finally got some editing software, some kind of pirated software that I got, I went to all my old turkey hunting content and I showed every kill shot, normal speed, 50%, 25% shot, zoomed in, heads exploding. That's just what I thought was cool, and then it took me about that quick. And I was like, hey man,
I don't like this.
This ain't that cool. You know what I mean? Like, we're losing ourselves. You're losing that journey. You're downgrading it. You're insulting the journey by like focusing on the kill so much. And
it's the process, man. That's like I said, it's the process that I love. And like that's with the lopping the heads off, the guillotines or whatever they're called. Like, I fully acknowledge that is my bias, because that is an ethical way to kill a turkey. But I don't like, it's like I don't like everything after that, And
if you're gonna do it, show it real time, and then that be the end of it. It's just the kill. Don't I don't know. Don't focus. Don't make the whole thing about that moment.
That's right.
And
there's
and then there's a it's part of that maturity. All turkey hunters go through it. We've had this discussion many times at this point. And what I'm doing is, I went through it, kill, and everybody's going to go through it. You can't avoid that part of this whole maturing as a turkey hunter. You've got to get through it. I think the way I put it was, considering that I've been there, I feel like my duty is to show those folks that are in that phase what phase they're in, have them acknowledge it, like, hey buddy, you're doing it. You can kill them, There's no reason for you to not think that you can kill them. You're good. You're a good turkey hunter. But just realize what phase you're in, and realize, just try to get them through that phase quicker. You got to go through it. It's part of it.
That's a great statement. And I think one of the things, I think the phase that we're in as a whole as turkey hunters, if we see someone doing that, where you're just stacking beards, man, and you're doing some dumb shit, with your bird on lawn, whatever it is, right? Is that there's a group of us that want to educate, say, hey, listen, there's another way, right? And then there's other people that are just like, you suck, kill yourself, don't ever turkey. Like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I don't want to be here again. I don't want to be some type of hypocrite, which is kind of my, that's what grates my nerves, is somebody be hypocritical, because I turkey hunt a lot, and I'm very fortunate to see quite a few turkeys upside down every year. So, but I do feel like the way I carry myself and the way I conduct myself in the pursuit, and how I hunt them, how I choose to hunt them, what I choose not to use, what I choose not to do, the requirements I have for a hunt to be successful aren't a dead turkey. Like, that's not a requirement for the hunt to be successful. Am I aiming to do that? Absolutely. I've just finished up editing a hunt in Mississippi, and I beat that turkey. I beat him 110%. I fooled him.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of, he wasn't an easy turkey to fool. And then I fooled him, and then I didn't kill him still. And on that camera, you can see me, I'm seething because I didn't kill that turkey, because he was a tough turkey to fool. And then I fooled him, and then I didn't kill him. And so in the moment, once I look back at it, I'm like, I probably focused a little bit too much on not killing the turkey. But at the end of it, I was laughing, and I was like, you know what? Like, how did I do all of that right? And then he's still here gobbling tomorrow. It's kind of a success in itself,
Yeah.
So it was fun to relive that hunt. A little bit painful, but it was fun to relive that hunt. But
that is painful.
It's getting to that point to where you can laugh about it and know, and there's a bit of joy knowing he's still there to chase tomorrow. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to be a hypocrite, because I probably touch and turn as many turkeys upside down as most guys, but that's because I get to do it a lot. I've constructed my life, since we talked about that, whether it was that moment when I was 14, or if it was that moment in 2006 when I killed my first out of state turkey, or when it was first night that I slept out of the back of my truck and killed a turkey, whenever it was. Since that moment, I've constructed and made a lot of sacrifices and compromises to hunt like I do. And I don't take it for granted, and it may not happen next year. I see every spring as like, could be the last. So, I've just always approached it as that, and approached life like that, frankly. And so, that's just kind of what I tell people is the beauty behind turkey hunting is it's very obtainable. It's not like getting an elk tag, or it's not like getting a mountain goat or bighorn sheep. Like, man, you can turkey hunt. Like, you can get your shotgun, your vest, some granola bars, pack of bologna, some bread, and some mustard, and you can go do it, man. Like, it don't take much. Set $20 back a week, starting a few months before turkey season, and you got enough to do an out-of-state turkey hunt. So I just wanted to illustrate it as obtainable and fulfilling. Like, go in there with, the experience as being your number one goal, not a dead turkey. Because obviously, like we've talked about it right now, like, Florida's always at the top of everybody's list. What could you tell me about going to Florida? And my biggest thing is, like, go down there for the experience. Go down there because you're going to be hunting the most unique place in the world, in my experience. Or in my opinion, it's you can't get that experience anywhere else. Go down there because you're going to see birds that you don't know what they are. I mean, you're going to hear stuff that you don't have an explanation for. Like, you're going to hunt a bird in ground and in habitat that, frankly, for most of us, doesn't make sense. I remember the first time that I was thrown into that stuff, I'm like, there's no way a turkey lives in here. I mean, I was used to the hardwood ridges in North Georgia, like palmettos, sawgrass, swamp, water. Like, none of that makes sense. Sand, turkeys, like, sand is for the beach, but go down there for the experience. Go down there knowing that you might come home without a turkey, but don't be mad about that. Like,
and it's such a wild place, man. Like the first day that I was in there, the sun came up and I just stood there and I watched it come up and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it just, the cypress domes, that were the trees, it's just the landscape it was so foreign to me.
It is intoxicating. South Florida is intoxicating. Like, I cannot not do it.
Yeah.
And it's such a, it's one of those hot button topics. Only place you can find Osceolas. It's the first place to open for most folks. And so it's, the pressure is always a topic of conversation. Yeah. The locals down there are very protective, and rightfully so. They have a resource that's just, you can't put into words how important that place is for all, should be for all of us, and it definitely is for those folks. And so I take that into consideration. I do. I appreciate they're adamant about keeping that place wild and fighting. I was on a call or just made public comment a couple of weeks ago. One of the guys that I know down there who is adamant. I mean, he fights for that place every day. He asked me to he's like, hey man, we're having this meeting in DC. They're going to allow, and so absolutely, man, that place is near and dear to me. It's important. I want to keep it. I want to keep it like it is.
Yeah.
And it's a constant fight down there. I mean, Florida's growing quicker than anywhere. I mean, if majority of the folks that go to Florida, if it was up to them, the whole place would be concrete and condos, so it's very important for those of us like myself that enjoy it, or the people that may potentially enjoy it, to know that place is threatened just as much as anywhere, and we need to be there for the good fight.
That's the real Florida, man.
That's real.
It's not Naples. It's not Jacksonville. Miami surely as hell isn't that. I mean, you got to go into the center, and it's neat, man, because for me, it was one of those places, like, it's just stopped in time when you're down there. I mean, it's just everything, the flora, the fauna, the people that are there, like the world's smallest post office. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just such a cool place, man, for an Ohio guy or Georgia guy. You walk around, it is intoxicating. And it's funny because I was by myself down there the first morning I went out. And I was talking to my son. He's 20, and he's all about, like, just pushing his body and his mind. He's in that stage where he just wants, like, physically just beat his face into the ground. Good for him. I'm 41. I'm not doing that anymore. But when I was out there, like, hear all those weird noises and hear the gator splashing, it was like a mental exercise to say, okay, start walking. You just got to do it, man. Like, you are definitely not the alpha predator in this place, but you have a shotgun, you have a flashlight, you're moderately good with both. You're gonna be okay. Start I just put one foot, man. That's all I had to do. And I'd hear, I'm not big on snakes, man. Spiders I can do, lizards, gators. I'm like, if you're like, hey man, I need you to go wrestle this bear or wrestle that garter snake, I'm taking the garter snake, or I'm taking the bear 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, I had just like, oh my God, I'm observing the beautiful nature, and I look, and in this tree, there's a snake skin. It is not an actual snake. Okay. It's like the snake skin that's wrapped around this tree, and it's like this wide, and my heart, I couldn't breathe. I like bend over. I mean, it was terrible, man. Like, that place, but I would do it again. I'm trying to talk myself about not going, next year. I want to go north, man. I only have so much time. I've been hunting the Southeast real hard the last couple of, probably decade. I want to go north, but I'm like, man, maybe I could just do Florida. Go do Florida like that second week of that season, and then bug out and come north. And it just gets.
I think I would have to. I mean, if you told me I couldn't, I would have to drive down there, sit beside a tree, and let the sand run through my hands, and just have to get back in the truck and drive back home. Like, I couldn't go down there with not smelling the place, feeling the place, because it's that important to me. Like, I adamantly love that environment. So yeah, but no, and I think that's what's so intriguing to me is, as many times as I've been down there now, it's so foreign, and it's so wild that you can be so foreign and then yet so close to just like a metropolitan area. Like, you can be so close and so far at the same exact time. You still hear airplanes. And it's like, those people on those airplanes have no idea what they're flying over,
Yeah.
like the absolute treasure they're flying over. But
and you know, it was funny. I was talking to Parker McDonald before I went down there, and he's like, "Dude, you can't e-scout that place. It all looks the same."
oh,
From
absolutely.
and the you know, I did a ton of e-scouting, and then I get there, and I'm like, "Oh shit, this is what this place looks like."
I
don't even
remember
know.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, this is amazing, and I have just hundreds of pictures, of just like the most random stuff.
Yep. Same.
And it just means not flowers and birds and I don't know, man. What a talk, man. Are you going south for the championship game?
Did you talk about Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be down there.
So it's Bulldogs, Crimson Tide.
Yep.
It's no secret. Ohio State fans were, grew up, man, went there and we've had a rough week, dude. I'm not gonna lie, man.
Yeah.
We've had a rough week. I got a lot of Georgia Bulldog fan or like friends, and I'm like, just beat Alabama, just beat Nick Saban.
It's always a tall order, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like, do you talk about turkeys again? Do you have like your year planned out for 24? You know what you're doing?
No,
Obviously,
not even close. Yeah, I mean, there's always obviously a loose plan that's just contingent on where you're going to draw, and quotas have become such a not that they haven't always been important. There's places that you've always had to draw quotas, and got to kind of start concentrating on that. But flexibility is what I kind of keep at arm's reach all the time. So, but no, not really any structure as of yet.
Yeah, I want to hunt like Vermont, Maine, Wisconsin. I want to get into those cold states. I like the idea of like hunting a turkey in snow sounds like miserable.
It is so miserable.
I've hunted turkeys in snowstorms, but not like measurable snow on the ground. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I had to kick snow off the base of a tree to sit down, I'd just be angry.
Yeah,
at the moment I had to do
it's
that.
just such a mobile game, and that's kind of how I turkey hunt is walking. And snow just makes that whole thing just difficult.
It's worse than walking through dry leaves, man.
Yeah, just crunch your feet. Your feet's gonna be wet and cold and frozen, and it's just a miserable experience. I don't like snow and turkeys. Like, it is not a good combination.
It's the worst. But Dave, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your willingness to chat with me, man. Whenever I ask, and it's always good seeing you in Nashville, man. I've watched a lot of Pinhoti videos. I didn't watch. I scrolled through. I'm like, I wonder what his first video was. And I saw that train wreck. I'm like,
yeah.
I
don't even know. There was some there's some early stuff on there, and I left it. I mean, in some of the stuff like that I would cringe at now, I left it because it was me, and it was part of the journey on kind of creating what this thing is. And it kind of I hope it adds some validity to, like, hey, we can listen to this guy because he has actually done it every way.
Yeah.
And just when I'm trying to sell that our approach, the way we hunt it, the way a lot of people hunt them, that is so difficult to video and put out there. But I'm not trying to. I'm not a trying to put together something that I'm not. So
yeah, I want to talk. Just I told you I don't like the how-to stuff, and one of the other podcasts I do is literally called "How to Hunt Turkeys."
mm-hmm.
But I didn't. So I want you to define, like, so is there a right way to hunt a turkey? Yes or no?
I'll say yes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. There is a right way. And I don't think it's just one way. I think there's once again back
I'm not saying anything's there's one way, but I'll just say I think there's wrong ways.
Yes, it's very philosophical.
Mm-hmm,
I
feel sure.
More so than some of the other pursuits.
And even my own, there's gray areas. There's gray areas, which makes the whole definition of what's right and wrong very difficult.
Yeah.
But I think when you take, like you've mentioned a couple of times, the reverence for the turkey, and the respect we have for the game, I think that in itself means that there are some wrong ways you can hunt him. There are some advantages you can take advantage of him. so to speak.
Man,
I remember grabbing a book. One of the books I grabbed, and it was the way it used to be done, especially in Florida, was roost shooting. They wait till after dark, go see them in those cypress domes. The cypress domes are nothing but, you can skylight them really easy, and that's how they hunted the turkeys. They slip in there and in the water, and they just wade through the water and shoot turkeys out of trees. I didn't make it to the end of that book. I understand that's how they hunted them. The story was there, but I couldn't stomach listening to every one of the accounts of them doing that. I just like, no, it's just, I understand it's how it happened, but it doesn't sit well with me, and I just don't like listening to it. So I had to set that one down. But yeah, there's right and wrong ways, no doubt to me.
It's interesting, man. I'm this podcast has got kind of like two separate show feels, right, or types, I guess. Like, I've got one out live now, but I'm working on a lot where it's more like documentary style, right? It's kind of interviewing anthropologists and historians and collectors and people that like, and it's not just like turkey literature, right? And you and I will talk about it, but it's neat when you look at some of like those, like the market hunters, and like is our buddy Brent Rogers would say, hunting for the larder, where you're just throwing 100 when you're hunting with your stomachs, as the saying goes.
Yeah.
You read the way that like the wild turkey had zero respect from those guys. And
none. Nothing does in that moment in time, exactly. If you're making a living,
Yeah. And like you
feeding
read
yourself.
You read accounts of like these hunters, like, they'll go out and they'll kill a buck, they'll skin the buck, they'll take all the meat, they'll cut the horn, they just chuck them out. It's not even a thing.
That's not why they're there. Yeah.
And I just called antlers horns, Dave. Someone's getting upset about that, but
yeah, you know how it is. But yeah, I mean, how can you be mad at that guy? I mean,
yeah.
Oh, that wasn't deer season. Like, you killed a turkey in July. What do you mean? Like, I was like, hey, boss, these dudes doing it for food. Like, it's kill or be killed here. So I mean, you can't.
So in my historical conversations and deep dives, the turkey was called the toms, gobblers. You know what they were called back? I'm talking like the 1400s. You know what they were referred to as?
Probably cocks.
Turkey cocks. Yeah. I'm glad you're not Pinhoti Project turkey cock or cock hunter. What are you doing this for? I'm going cock hunting in Hawaii.
Yeah, I think the whole spin on the whole social media thing and the internet being accessible. I mean, I think that Google search is going to wind you in a dark place.
Oh man, it's a spot you don't want to be. That's right. Thank God we call them toms, right?
Yeah.
Dave, I appreciate you, man. I do. I want your feedback on this. And this will be in the show. I've been trying to come up with, so the podcast is just called the Turkey Season Podcast, right? That's the name of the brand, the website, whatever the hell you want to call it. And so I got the documentary style podcast, and I wanted to come up with, I love Clay Newcomb. I love that guy. I love his podcast and the Bear Grease. And then you got the Render. I'm like, what's a good name for something like where it's just a couple guys just talking about turkey hunting. And so this is the name that I've come up with, the Dust Bowl. So these are just dust.
Oh, okay.
What do you think? You like that?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
What else you got? Because like the roost, that's someone
that's
already
been
got
overdone, hadn't it?
Yeah, and I'm like the Dust Bowl, man.
Yeah, the Dust Bowl. Yeah, I like it.
What do you think? You like it? I don't know about you. Every time I see a Dust Bowl in the wild, I'm like, oh damn, there's a Dust Bowl. Like, it's exciting to see.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I just mentioned talking about editing that hunt from Tennessee where I got my face kicked in. And a piece of footage, like we found a Dust Bowl, and I stopped and took like some detailed footage of the feathers that were left in the Dust Bowl. It's always something you got to stop and kind of just admire for a second. It's
so cool, man. One of my favorite things turkey hunting is when you get to watch them just being turkeys, right? When you're not calling to them and you're not doing anything, like if it's just a bunch of hens or whatever, and they're just being turkeys, man. I love watching that, and I've never seen them hit a Dust Bowl. I need to, next time I find one, I just need to sit down and just watch them, because I'm the same way. The other thing that, and then we'll end on this note. I did an interview a couple weeks ago with Brett Collier, Mike Chamberlain, and Mark Hatfield. And in that, we were talking about people finding nests and like nest disturbance and everything. And I said, okay, right now, and that podcast hasn't gone live now, but I want you to do this too, if you would be so kind. I said, right now, I want to spread the rumor or the idea that if it's bad luck to pick a turkey egg from the nest and take a picture of it and putting it on social media. Like, it's bad luck. Like, you will your turkey cock hunting days will end if you take a picture of a wild turkey egg in the wild.
Yeah.
So start that rumor, like, man.
For sure. Like I just
Stop
don't
it.
tamper. Just don't tamper. You know,
Yeah.
it's a pit in my stomach when you flush a hen and I hear the little whistling and whatnot, and whether she's already had the poults or whether I always say, like, man, if the hens just knew, if I could somehow just communicate with them and tell them, I will fight to the death to keep you safe. Like, don't run from me. Don't cause this ruckus because I'm on your team. And I was like, I said, just please, so I quickly just try to get away as fast as I can because I want them to quit flipping out, you know?
Yeah.
Then I almost feel like I want to sit back and I did this. As a matter of fact, it was on video. Where was I at? I think I was in Wisconsin, and I was parked on a little high spot, and I was on my way out. It started raining. I was on my way out, flushed a hen. It was ag fields, but the drains, they obviously didn't plant and had grown up in high grass, and she had her poults in that high grass. And I walked through and blew them out, kind of separated them. And I made a big loop and got back to the truck, and I sit there through binoculars and watch them all assemble back in that high grass. So cool. And I said, I'm going to sit here and watch them. And I was like, what am I going to do if I see coyote or a hawk or something start harassing them? I thought, I know what I'm going to do. You know, I'm going to go rogue is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But
just Dave Owens, just crawling through the drains, man.
Then I'm like, yeah, just saving turkeys. Anything that I can do to add one more to the population.
That's it. Dave, I appreciate you, man.
You bet, man.
Thank you.